devastating knockout from Kid Galahad against a guy who many expected to see out the 10 rounds, making a big statement, big support tonight, lots of tickets. Over to you.
How did you feel, Barry?
I felt good, you know, in the first round. The kid was a bit tricky. He trying to find my range. In the second round, I found it, and in the third round, put it to sleep.
You wanted to put on a performance, didn't you, as well as just win?
Yeah, I did. Been watching that the interview with Naz when he was saying you've got to brook them up. And all in my head, that's all I was thinking. You've got to brook them up. That's all I was thinking about in the fight.
Do you think you've done enough tonight to really put yourself up there now?
Yeah,
you know, do this year?
Yeah, this kid's been 10, 12 rounds with Jonathan Gonzalez, 7 rounds with Victor Barros,
12 rounds with Corrales.
Yeah, and all these supposed to be the biggest punches in the featherweight division, and I've just done them in 3 rounds, calls.
And he's had plenty of notice, you know what I mean, he's had plenty of notice, this kid. It's not like a last minute thing, he's been on, he's had about 8 weeks notice, even though it wasn't announced, he was there in the background. So, you know, it's not like he's come unprepared, is it?
What did you think, Dom?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, a bit messy, you know, the times when, you know, he was an awkward character and that's his game. He comes to survive a little bit, then he starts getting his shots, got long arms, got a range. And like I say, you know, Barry's just got to keep knocking over the kids in front of him. He's 24 now, he's 28 years old. I mean, Eddie will know better, but somewhere down the line, I think he is going to be in the line for the mandatory for the IBF. I think, because there's people in front who probably aren't going to box the winner of Warrington and Selby. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, they're the top 2 fighters at the minute. We've obviously got Scott Quigg out there in America. Is it next weekend?
Next Saturday, yeah.
You know, and that is a 50-50 fight. He's a good kid who's fighting, and it could actually go either way. So you never know. Scott Quigg might come back with a title, and that might turn him on into mix. We've always wanted to fight Scott Quigg. Sparred him years ago, and you know he's had the big fights, and you know it's about time. Like we've seen tonight with, you know, Gavin McDonald against Mr. Yafai. It's, you know, experience won out in the end. And it is, you've got to beat them type of kids. You know, whoever won tonight, you know, they've proved themselves, haven't they? And Gamal just fell a little bit short. So, you know, Scott's being up there. That's a good fight I'd like to see as well. I'm sure it'd sell. So, you know, there's some big names out there for Barry.
Eddie, could this be a big year for Barry then?
Yeah, but it has to be the year, really, because he's been sort of hovering around for a while. And he's, what's that, 24 and 0 now? 24 and 0. Like, when you're 24 and 0, you really have to be challenging for world titles, in my opinion. Selby, as soon as that Selby-Warrington fight takes place, they'll call a final eliminator, which will be Kid Galahad versus someone, and then no one can avoid him. He's not really the guy. I mean, look, if I had a featherweight world champion, I wouldn't choose Kid Galahad as a voluntary defence. You know, he's awkward, he hits hard, he's clever, so why would you? And he's good. So he's like one to avoid. So when that happens, as was the case with Kell Brook, we had to go out and become the mandatory.
And then when he won it, none of the other guys wanted to fight him.
So and then it takes a while. Like it could be, I don't want to dishearten him, but it could be 10 or 12 months before he challenges for the world title if we don't get a voluntary defence. But that's all right as long as he's busy, and as long as he's in fights that aren't going to make him stale and are going to keep him relevant in people's minds, because that's the key really. And I said same applies to Gavin McDonald, Yafai. Everyone's scrapping for relevance in British boxing, and if you're not prepared to take the tough fights, you're going to be forgotten about, or you're going to be brushed aside by the broadcaster, because it's dog eat dog out there at the moment. Everybody's trying to put on the best shows, and when you deal with a fighter again like Gavin, Barry's exactly the same. He don't care who he fights now. He's 24 and 0. Put me in with anyone. That's the attitude. So it's quite nice to be able, you know, there's not anyone that I would say to Dom him and he'd say no. So really it's about fighting the right guy, and I would like to find a real, you know, I mean Denaire obviously is fighting Frampton, but a name like that for Barry next before challenging for a final eliminator would be really nice. And you know, he's ready to go. He's always in the gym, always working hard, but you know, he must fight for a world title.
Can we get him on that Mabel in Liverpool? You can sell tickets in Liverpool.
Well, Kell Brook's fighting in June, so you'll be on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Barry, you've had an emphatic knockout tonight, but is there any element at this point in your career where you feel like you do still need the rounds under as well? Because, you know, you stepped up at every level, you've proved yourself every time you step up, you've never really been in the trenches yet. Is that something that you need or something that you don't need?
I've done 12 rounds a few times, so I know what it's like to do 12 rounds, and the style I've got, you don't really need to go in the trenches. And if I do have to go in the trenches, I'll always come out on top. Because I'm always in the gym and I'm always on it.
Do you agree with that about rounds in the bank?
Yeah, he's done the rounds though. He's done European title fights at 12 rounds. He's done 12 rounds doing a British title fights. You know, this round thing is like, it's all right. The first time you have to do 12 rounds, it gets you worried. But when you've done your 12 rounds, you know it's down to everything else. And like I said, you know, in this game, you know, you can't emphasise enough. Look at Gavin McDonald today. He's been at this higher level. He's done 12 rounds, and he did 12 rounds at a breeze. He's been trained up at Sheffield Island University. He's got that fitness. Barry's the same. You know, you don't need to be sparring 12 rounds. You don't need to be fighting 12 rounds to do 12 rounds. It's the mental aspect of it. You know, some people just think that they can't get through 12 rounds. So, you know, it's never been a problem for Barry. He trains for 12 rounds every single time. You know, the way he's in the gym, he's never out. It's a full-time job for Kid Galahad. It's a 40-hour week for him training. So, you know, forget about the rounds. What he actually needs, like I've said to Eddie for time and time again, you know, just he'll stick him with anybody. He's not going to say no. And we've never said no. If Eddie said, what about this, what about that? You know, if the chance comes up, the opponent was boxing Scott Quigg. And he goes, if Scott Quigg doesn't want to take that fight, well, Barry take him. Yeah, and he'll go to America and do it. Because that's where he's at 28. He's not a young spring chicken and he can't afford to wait around. And at 24 and at 28 years old, you can't be handpicking your fights. You've got to jump in and, you know, take the bull by the horns. So that's where Barry's it. You know, Barry's in. And if Eddie says to me, we've got him a world title fight, and it's in China or Japan we're going. You know what I mean? We've been to Canada with Billy Joe Saunders. We went to America with Kell Brook. If you can fight, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Do you understand? You can fight, full stop. You don't need the home advantage. You just need the 4 ropes and a ring to get in and do it.
And you've worked with lots of world champions. What can Barry achieve?
Yeah, he's got what it takes. You know, he's got what it takes to be world champion. You know, we've got a good thing going at the minute. We've got some good kids in the gym. You know, Barry's training alongside of him. He's seen Billy Joe Saunders turn himself around. I think that motivated Kell Brook. And, you know, Barry's looking at them two and thinking, no, when's it my chance? I can't wait. I hope I don't miss the ball. There's always that sense. And I think even with Billy Joe Saunders, that he got to the point at 28 years old, and he's thinking, I've missed the ball. You know, I might as well jack him. Well, he just turned himself around in 6 months. Same with Kell. You know, Kell's, you know, you can't. You know, people have a go at Kell Brook. He's lost 2 fights back to back, but he's never turned down a fight. He boxed Golovkin, he boxed Errol Spence. You know, and I think that's what's cheesing him off about anything. You know, he was beating Errol Spence. If he'd have turned the fight off after 6 rounds, Kell Brook was winning that fight. It's only the injury, and they're hailing, you know, Errol Spence as the next Messiah. And, you know, he's a good fighter, but, you know, Kell Brook, look, tonight, who's ever knocked Rabchenko out in 2 rounds? And this is not a kid who's had 2 weeks' notice. He's had 10, 12 weeks' notice, plenty of notice. He's lost 2 fights at the top level. So, you know, Kell tonight, he's pulled that peach of a shot out, the chocolate brownie, and it was all over, you know. He has a tendency to do that to Russian guys, doesn't he? But tonight, you can see, and that will give him confidence, you know, for the next 12 months. He knows what he's got to do now. Eddie's had a good talk to him. Everybody's had a good talk to him. Next 12 months, he's got to be on it. He's got to be taking it serious. He has done, but he's got to start thinking about, you know, putting in the performances there.
What about the old Ingle gym at the moment, eh?
Yeah, you have your
Shafiq.
You have your peaks and troughs in boxing. You know, you can't always be riding the crest of a wave. If you understand that, the only certain thing about boxing is the uncertainty. You know, Dave Allen tonight, another. You know, you just feel for the guy, don't you? I just hope he don't go away and pack it all in and get yourself a milk round or something, because, you know, he's got the ability, and tonight he looked like he was turning up, and, you know, you couldn't write it, could you? So, you know, boxing's exciting at the minute. If you put the work in, you get the results.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
Good.
It's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else